Hey there and welcome to Real Investment News. I'm Mike O'Neill. Now, last week we were talking about the yield curve. I hope you remember and we're taking notes because we have a quiz coming up. Now, when investors buy bonds, they are essentially saying, I think I can get a better return by locking in my money over a 2 or 5 or 10-year period than in the volatile markets. But remember, as bond sales go up, the percent of the return, also known as a yield, goes down. Now, there are a lot of bonds out there, but the 10-year and 2-year Treasury notes are always most closely followed. Now, this is a look at their yields over the past 3 years. You can see how the yield for the 2-year Treasury has actually been going up because demand for them has been going down. At the same time, the yield for the 10-year has climbed, but not as fast. This suggests that investors would rather lock in their money for the long haul rather than just commit to 2 years when conditions are a little more uncertain. The difference between the 10-year and the 2-year, this is called the yield spread. Now, Lance talks about the yield spread in his ominously named article, The Next Crisis Will Be the Last. Seriously, that is an unsettling picture. Anyway, in his article, Lance talks about the yield spread and shows how this split has been declining over the past several years. It's now below 0.4%. Now, for the past 40 years, every time the rate for the 2-year has surpassed the 10-year and the spread has dipped below zero, a recession has followed. So this decline is not what we want to see. Additionally, almost every time the Federal Reserve has raised its interest rates, and in this chart it's busy, I know, but it is this blue line, the interest rates. Every time the Fed has raised its interest rates to help the economy, the exact opposite has happened. Recessions, these green columns, have followed. So what is happening now? Well, the Fed raised rates this month. They already have 2 more planned for this year, maybe 4 or more next year. They say it's an effort to slow down inflation, but the problem is Americans are not spending more on items that will actually improve the economy like cars or clothes. They're spending more on essentials, food, energy, health, housing. Why is that? Well, they simply don't have the money. Now, this chart, you've seen a variation of it before. It shows how the gap between our disposable income and our cost of living, these blue columns here, is actually in the negative and getting worse. So the amount of credit that we are using to stay afloat, which is these orange lines up here, is growing. And the amount of money that people are actually saving, which is this blue line, well, this is hitting near all-time lows. So why does Lance believe that this is going to be the last crisis? He says it's going to be more like a Great Reset, perhaps, because rather than seeing the bread lines as we did during the Great Depression in the 30s, we're going to see a jump in the number of Americans getting benefit checks. And the question for politicians is going to be, how are we going to pay for it all? Now, as always, Lance has a lot more to say in his article on realinvestmentadvice.com. You can see these charts and a whole lot more. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Please continue to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Check out our past reports at realinvestmentnews.com. I'm Mike O'Neill. We'll see you again in a couple of hours.